Hey guys, Shawn Ziem, the Connection Machine, aka the Insurance Doctor, and the host for the Webtalk Legends Podcast, where we bring on guests that share their stories, talk about trials and tribulations, things that happened in their past, adversity that they overcame, things that have happened, and they want to share some value. That's what we're talking about today. We're going to gain some insight of what would happen if you really kind of, met up and had a conversation. We're recording it. We're live. We are not face to face, but you're going to see what would happen if we were. And that's what sometimes scares people when they do things that are live. Couple housekeeping. When you're watching, please don't forget to hit subscribe, hit that like button, but drop a comment where you're watching from. The least you can do is drop a hashtag live or a hashtag replay. And if you're watching throughout and you are taking some notes, you might be taking mental notes, but I think jotting things down would be great. Drop a favorite emoji, a fire, a pound, a thumbs up, thumbs down. If you have questions, if you have anything you're agreeing or disagreeing, please do it. The algorithm loves it. And again, don't forget to go to the description at the end and really, connect with my guest. I'll remind you at the end, and then hit that subscribe button. Before I bring him on, I want to share something real quick. If you haven't taken a look at it, it is backup. You protect the outside of your phones. Why not be protecting the inside, the pictures, the video, your data? 6 terabytes for data backups, cloud storage for $9.97 a month. If you want to learn more, and you get 6 accounts, you can have up to with the Android and iPhones. You set it, forget it. You have all your automatic backups. Again, the photos, documents, and data anywhere in the world. Military-grade encryption and security. Go to connection.gotbackuptour.com. Let me bring on my next guest. Let me move over to this over here. All right, let me bring in Benjamin. What's up? Let me take this down. Get this out. Excuse me for 1 second. And here he is. What's up,
Hey.
Benjamin? How are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Little technical difficulties, but hey, that happens. We're human, right? So I appreciate you, coming on today. We're going to drop some nuggets for our guests and our attendees, for those that are watching. But before we get into it, Ben, who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, so I'm Ben. I'm as born and raised in South Jersey. I'm a financial planner. I run my own practice there in association with Northwestern Mutual. In terms of who I am on a day-to-day, besides a financial planner, because you hear about financial advisors all the time, financial planners. I think people have a very good idea of what they do. Who I am, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, trying to get by and make something that's really growing and really successful.
You're building a legacy. You're building for the future. You're putting things, you have your whys. And I love that you share that you're a dad. How many kids do you have, Ben?
One. He's 1.5. So he's getting into everything, getting a bit of an attitude, remarkably stubborn. It's great.
No, man, I always say, and I have 4 kids. You don't grow up until you actually have to take care of another human being, to really take care of them. And can you tell us how you felt the first day you went home from the hospital?
Oh, most nervous I've ever been, right? You think you have responsibility, you think you have pressure until you have someone who's relying on you for their every minute of their day. So excited, yeah, but incredibly nervous.
It's different when you're in the hospital. People don't realize it. You give the nurse, I want to take a nap. I want to do this. Your wife wants to do that. You don't have that when you're just the two of you bringing home another human being. But it's a beautiful thing. It's a fantastic thing. Is there anything you could share for dads out there? Little strategies that are helping you? Are you getting sleep? You're not getting sleep? Are you one that does diapers, things like that?
So I guess one big strategy, I guess, if you will, and every kid's different, right? So the difficulties we all face are different, but honestly, fundamentally, patience is key, right? Understanding that, especially when your kid's a baby, they're crying because they need something. You can't get frustrated at that. And, you're married or what have you, your spouse, the mother of your child, you got to give them support too, right? It's not all on one. It's a team effort, it's teamwork, and talk to whoever that person is and find a plan to really see what works best, right? Because everyone's agreement in that is going to be different. So patience and communication, that's really the two big things.
Good value right there, man. That's definitely something you have to have. If you don't have the patience, you will get the patience because it'll be instilled. You'll see, because a 1.5-year-old. Yeah, I have my 1-year-old. He's 13 months right now, and he's the most chill out of all the ones I've had. I don't know if it's like, God's helping us. Like, you know what? We're gonna throw you a little bone here. He's gonna be chill. Right now, he's the chillest one. But man, they get the attitudes and everything else. But it makes you want to work hard. Having your why pushes you in. We're in the sales business, right? So you're selling your products, you're selling your services, you're really selling you. How can we help those that are selling? They're entrepreneurs out there. How can we help them improve their business? Help them maybe with their mindset, scheduling. Any tricks? Any tips that we can share?
I guess the biggest one that I would have, something that's core to who I am in my role, is really understanding your why, right? Because when it comes to sales, and that term always has such a negative connotation to it, but we all have to remember everyone's selling something. It may not be for a price, right? I come from education. What I was selling my students was history. And trust me, that's a tougher sale than half the sales I do right now. And so keeping that in mind, and if you know your why, you're passionate about it, you believe in what you're doing, people will buy into that. The product itself, the price, those are just details, right? They need to have a why. And if you instill a why, they'll figure out where in their budget it works. They'll figure out how to make it happen. They just need to believe in it. In order for them to believe in it, you need to believe in it.
Belief is huge. If you don't believe in what you're selling, they could pick it up. Your prospects can pick it up. They know you're just going to, you're hoping to have a sale. But if you believe in things, you're passionate about it, you're going to give your heart. And people love feeling that from somebody. It exudes from you. Now, you said you were a teacher, history teacher. How long were you teaching?
So I was teaching for about 3 years. I went in with the goal that was going to be what I was going to do. I'm going to do that until I retire. And various different factors, and one big factor, starting a family and with my son as well, and other reasons too, led me to decide to make a change. But yeah, I was teaching for 3 years, various different schools around New Jersey. Enjoyed it, but I felt that financial literacy, that was always something I was passionate about. I felt like our schools don't teach that really at all, at least not in the experience that I had. So I would. So when I decided, hey, I want to go start my own business, I want to build that legacy, going into something that is educational still, right? Financial planning, 90% of what I do is in education. This would be the natural course to go on.
No, it's something that you like you said, you have to sell a kid on doing something they normally sometimes don't want to learn, know about, care. And so, yeah, it kind of transitioned you because you had some no's, you had rejection, you had, I don't want to do this, but you're able to now maneuver and give and help you with those objections that you might have with your clients. So it definitely, I believe every job you have helps you and prepares you for your future, whatever that endeavor is. So right now you might be in financial planning. Maybe you'll be into some management role down the road. Things are going to happen, but you still are taking skills that you're learning to improve yourself down the road.
Absolutely.
And besides, the teaching, did you have any interesting jobs before teaching?
So before teaching, well, my job before teaching was a college student.
Oh, right.
so there's that. While in high school, college, I've always done various different work. I've had it instilled in me since I was a kid that, work is work, give it your best, give it your all. And if you have the opportunity to work, right, that in and of itself is an opportunity no matter what the work job is. So even in high school and college, when I had the extra time, I did jobs everywhere from helping with property maintenance to working part-time at UPS, which, by the way, if anyone's listening who has college kids or what have you, excellent avenue for extra money because their tuition reimbursement is amazing. But anyway, did that. And I also, while I was teaching, I did real estate part-time as well.
You have to do multiple funnels to survive today. I believe the more opportunity, it just gives you more opportunities to talk about different things to other people. You never know what you're going to, have to help someone with. So I believe everyone's a solution. You should act it as a solution to someone's problem. Yeah. So whatever those things are. Now, going back to being an entrepreneur, because you have to find business. What are some ways that you're finding business, you're prospecting, you're marketing? I know the words are sometimes interchanged, but how are you growing your business today?
Well, I mainly grow my business through referrals, right? And I feel like that's something that's not, we always talk about referrals are great, but the number one people who I ask to refer me to are my clients, right? Seeing who they know that I could make an introduction to. And from a sales perspective, if they've bought in, if they've become a client, then they already agree with what I'm talking about. They think I have value. So when they refer me, they're going to ideally team me up so that the conversation is a lot easier. Supplemental ways through LinkedIn, reaching out to people. I'm a big believer that, especially in the realm of business that I'm in, we all have professions, goals of what market we want to get into. The only way you're going to get into that market is by reaching out to people in that market. And you're going to get a lot of rejection, but the one yes will open the door to that whole market.
You got to keep plugging away. You have that, those rejection calls. You might have the days that nobody wants to talk to you about anything. What are some things or strategies that you've been able to develop on helping you with that? You have those days. You might have hours in a day that things are not going right. How do you keep what? I have to keep moving. How do you keep moving forward?
There's several things. First and foremost, I think if you're going to go to any business for yourself, you need to understand what's your vision for that. Write it out. I have a letter I wrote to myself from 5 years from now of what I want life to look like. So when things are really, really tough, I read over that and remember that's the why. And I can't get to that why with a standard 9-to-5 job. So I need to keep plugging away. The second thing is if it's a really stressful day, sometimes I'll just call it a day, go to the gym, work out the stress, finding other avenues to get that out of the way. Because the last thing you want to also have happen is that starting to affect your time around your family and things like that, because it can if you don't manage it.
I like when people bring up health and wellness and working out, and it's a mindset or mental health for us. As far as men, I believe you have to have an outlet. That's my time. Are you into, what kind of working out are you doing? Are you on a treadmill? Are you into boxing? Are you into strength training? Speak on that, please.
Yeah, so I do, a lot of mine is focused around cardio. I do, in high school and a bit in college, I was a rower. So I'm very big into those kind of all body workouts. When I'm at the gym, first machine I go to is the erg machine. Go on that for about 20 minutes if I can. And those machines, they look weird. They can be brutal. They're tough. But those are the workouts I like to do, things that in my mind take mental stamina to get through, that aren't just quick and you can get done with pretty quickly.
Now, you mentioned rowing. Now, a lot of people, I've never had on my show anyone that was into, it's called crew, right?
Yep, crew. The official term is rowing, but crew is another term for it. Yeah.
So what got you into doing that, man?
Honestly, so the high school I went to, I don't know, whoever is listening to us in the South Jersey area may know Doane Academy. Not sure if you've heard of them, but that's the school I went to for high school, and they have offered various different sports. When I was in middle school, I was not an athlete by any stretch of the imagination, but because they didn't offer gym for high school students, we had to do a sport. So in my mind, I thought, oh, you're on the water, you're rowing a boat, that can't be too difficult. Totally wrong on that, but best decision I made.
What is the most important person that is on that boat? They have the one with the row, right? That can't be the most important person, but it's a very strategic. It's very disciplined. You got to be on a certain rhythm, I'm sure. Is there any one that has to? Is there the strongest rower has to be in this part of the boat?
So it's all very planned out, right? It's hard to say that there's a singular most important person because everyone has a very important role. The guy who's yelling at you, who everyone hates while you're rowing, that person's very important, not just for the sake of yelling at you, but they're the ones who are actually steering the boat. So they make sure that you don't crash or anything like that. The second most important person is the one right in front of them. That's the person who sets the rhythm. Everyone else needs to keep in rhythm with that. So the person up front may not be the strongest person, but they'll be the person who has good rhythm, who can keep a good pace. The strongest person tends to be towards the back because they project the boat forward. And the key part with it, though, and really the best thing I learned from it, is you need to communicate and you need teamwork. If one person gets out of sync, that can affect the whole boat. That's where you can get the dramatic things of someone getting ejected from the boat, it flipping, just not being able to keep on pace. So it's one of those sports that really truly is a team sport. You can't just have one person out there that outshines the rest.
And it's something you're going to have to practice too. It's all about that, like you said, the rhythm, being on a certain count, making sure that things are happening as a team. You can't be like, "Oh, I'm better than you rowing." You're not going to be able to work in unison to make that happen. So I believe those that are in sports when they're younger really helps you when you go into the business world, being an entrepreneur, because you go through and you have these traits that you learn for those days, working together as a team, having adversity. Maybe you lose a lot and you learn how to lose. And I don't even think that's it's okay to lose. That's how you reflect on, that's how you grow. If you are always winning, you're never going to be able to learn, and you're going to be all upset and crying that you lost a game because you've never lost before. So it's important that all those skills will help you going down the road if you stick it out.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people they give up, and I know today with sports, with school, with anything extracurricular, parents are, "Oh, you want to quit? You can quit." I think you should stick it out no matter what.
Yeah. 100% agree. I know with my son, when he gets old enough to be in sports, if he ever starts a sport during that school year, I've already told my wife this. I'll tell him, you can quit it at the end of the season, but you're not quitting on your people in the middle of the season. And I don't know why that's no longer the norm, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, that's a conversation that always comes up too. It's crazy. Now we're all about building our businesses. What do you do for fun outside of business? What makes Ben happy without working?
Yeah, so I also, as much as working out is therapeutic, I find it fun. Setting those goals challenging. So when I have the spare time, I love doing that. As you can probably tell from me being a history teacher in my past life, anything that's like museum related, a little nerdy on that front, I'm all for it. Spending time with family, and in the very, very few times that I actually have the ability to, video games are something that I sometimes do to cool off a bit.
What is your favorite museum that you've been recently?
The National Air and Space Museum, the Air and Space Museum in DC, or right outside of DC, the one with the big hangar bay, the space shuttle, and everything else. We went to that about almost a year ago. It's my favorite museum, hands down.
That's awesome. It's something that I enjoy. That my wife's a history teacher, so she's all about that as well, into going to those type of venues or having those events planned. So it's a great thing. Do you and your wife go to any plays in New York City or in Philadelphia? I guess by where you are.
Not often, although I would like to bring her to Wicked or one of those other Broadway shows in New York at some point. I growing up was very New York kind of guy, so I have so many different bucket list items I'd like to bring my wife on and eventually my son on.
If just something that you're a history person, we've gone to Hamilton a few times, and Hamilton, you can get decent seats for not like ridiculous amount of money. You could also win them too. My wife won a lottery you can go into. That's something that Alexander Hamilton is a phenomenal play to watch, and for being a jock, sports, never was down that path. It was very enjoyable for me as well.
Okay, that's good to know.
Definitely highly recommend it. And
Yeah.
it's something that are with your wife, with having a child too, are you guys doing a lot of cooking at home, or you order out? How do you guys, set that all up?
We try our best to eat from home, do our own cooking as much as possible. She works as well, so our time does get limited, and especially being an entrepreneur, a business owner, your schedule. I always tell people, like, it's a double-edged sword. Your schedule is your own, but that means you have the privilege of working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. So it makes it limited. My goal, a part of that 5-year goals, is to make it so that my wife doesn't have to work. Of course, would be up to her, but at least we're in a place to where we could afford that. We try to cook from home, do our own food, everything else. More often than not, sometimes we lean on ordering out, but at least that's the goal.
Sometimes it's easier, right? It's a very easy thing. As your family grows, it gets more expensive. That's what I'm finding out. So it's like, wow. So we try to cook, myself and my wife, in the house on a consistent basis, trying to kind of keep healthy, on that front. But you also, it's all about time. I'd rather have close time with my family than anything else. And being a father, it's important, and I appreciate hearing it from other fathers out there. So it's good to hear. And I want to go into, we talked about health, talked about entrepreneurship. And we have people that are in the business world, they're in network marketing, they're in, some kind of small business as well. How does using social media help you in your business?
Well, in two really big ways. I had already mentioned part of my reaching out to get into new markets. I utilize LinkedIn. I mean, honestly, that is one of the best tools because most professionals out there are on LinkedIn in some sort of capacity, right? So that has been a huge help to my business, connecting with alumni from my college, utilizing that avenue as well. Wouldn't be able to do that any other way. In terms of other ways, I've started to lean more heavily into making posts, engaging activity. One thing I remember from a mentor back from when I was in real estate, what he would always say is that you may make a post and you may get 20 likes and like 3 shares, but got to remember hundreds of people probably saw that post. And the goal is to spread knowledge and awareness. If they keep thinking your name when they think, in my case, financial planning, when the time comes, who are they going to call? Ideally, are more likely me. So
yes, you use social media to get to a messenger. Then I get from a messenger, try to get to a call, and then from a call to a face-to-face or a video call, what have you. That's the process. A lot of people think I just do a post, I'm going to get business from it. Oh, it's going to generate leads for me. No. With LinkedIn, how have you been using that? Do you send message? I get tons of messengers of almost like spam from people, kind of like the copy and paste. What are some things that have been working for you on that platform?
Well, for one, your first message to someone should not be, hey, I do this, I'm offering this service, because you're right. I mean, the amount of times I get spam from XYZ people to do this, or that, I ignore it. Anyone would ignore it. So what I usually do, I connect with them, have a little message saying, for example, if it's alumni from my college, that, hey, reaching out to mutual alumni, hope you're well, would love to connect, something along those lines. If and when they connect, then I'll say, hey, appreciate the connection, blank. Currently trying to expand my network, build more genuine connections with alumni. I'd love to set up a 15-minute coffee Zoom to swap stories. The goal, honestly, spend as little time in the messenger as possible, more time face-to-face. When it comes to alumni, have been the easiest to do that with because you have that mutual connection. When it comes to, for example, medical professionals, I usually just add in, I work with medical professionals to help strategies for protecting income, so on and so forth, and offer the same coffee Zoom. But the goal is a quantity game for one, so it's going to take time. And secondly, the goal is to get off of the messaging as soon as possible.
Huge, guys. Those that are watching, that's big. And if you're not doing that, try it. Start up the conversation, get it to a point of, hey, can I have a connection call? Can I have 15 minutes? If I use Calendly, so I have that link, but like, hey, here's my schedule, find what works for you. Boom, they sign it, they sign up a time for that call, and then you have the call. That's building relationships, guys. I don't care what you sell. If you're doing that, you're going to get more sales. You're going to have more opportunities that you can close. If you just sit there and hope that it's going to happen, it's never going to happen. So I appreciate you sharing that, and people say, I can't share little things that work for me because they're going to steal my business. Ben, there's tons of people that I can lay out how to make $1 million, which I don't know that yet because I haven't gotten there. But if I lay that out, you should be able to follow that and exactly make it happen. But people don't take action. I asked you to come on the podcast. How many podcast opportunities have you had in the past? And why did you take me up on this one?
So I haven't had any podcast opportunities in the past. I have had a YouTube video series opportunity in the past with a local real estate agent. But honestly, if anyone asked me to come on a podcast, come on a video, I'm going to say yes. Even if I have no necessary, with a fine line, of course, if there's a bad reason for it, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
But nine times out of 10, I'm going to say yes, because that's how fundamentally you're going to grow your business, is by getting your name out there. Talking to people, and Shawn, you and I had connected. It was a good phone call. When you offered it, of course I'd take it. And even though this isn't a financial planning conversation, even though I haven't talked anything about retirement plan or anything like that, which is fine, but just having the conversation and talking more about myself, who I am, what I believe, why I'm doing this, it's worth the time tenfold, in my opinion.
And on top of it, guys, those that are guests, you get the raw footage. You get to go and chop this up. And this is content that you, like Ben said, we're not talking about products and services. That's what a lot of people think. Oh, I have to come on. No, you don't talk about. That's the compliance issue that comes up. We don't want to worry about that. We want to have people get to know, like, and trust you. And that's how the power of using a podcast, having the content going forward, people learn about you. I want to use Shawn. I want to use Ben on whatever the hell they're involved in. And that's how powerful it is. And I appreciate you taking time out of today to share, to give golden nuggets, to be vulnerable, to be transparent. And I challenge others to join us. Come have a meeting with us, have a conversation, because this will help everybody grow together. And any final thoughts you want to share with us, Ben?
I guess the big final thought is do the thing that the person next to you is not willing to do, right? Because when it comes to sales, when it comes to growing a business, it's about time, consistency, and discipline. I always hear from people, experienced advisors or other people in business, every time someone's almost close to getting to that point is when they quit, right? So you don't want to be that person, and utilize resources, get your name out there, have conversations like these, and just get out there. That's really fundamentally what you need to do.
Great final thoughts, man. I appreciate that. Guys, if you haven't already, please connect with Ben in the description. All this information's there. Reach out, have a conversation, talk about life, talk about financial planning, talk about entrepreneurship, but connect with him. And it's what I also want to make sure that everyone grows together. So thanks again, Ben, for being with us. Stick around for 1 second. Everyone else, we hope you have an awesome rest of your day.